We're diving into a rapidly unfolding situation in South Korea today, a story that's dominating international headlines. The Japan Times reports that President Yoon has declared martial law. What's your initial assessment of this dramatic development?
The declaration of martial law in South Korea is a significant escalation, suggesting a level of instability and crisis that demands immediate attention. The potential implications for regional stability and the South Korean populace are immense.
Right. Newsweek, however, reports that Parliament voted to block martial law amidst chaotic protests. This creates a fascinating contradiction. How can we reconcile these seemingly conflicting reports?
The discrepancy between the reports highlights the chaotic and rapidly evolving nature of the situation. It's possible that President Yoon's declaration hasn't yet been fully implemented or legally ratified, facing significant opposition within the parliament. The protests themselves could be a major factor influencing the outcome.
Exactly. The conflicting reports underscore the uncertainty and the need for careful analysis of the situation as it unfolds. Let's delve deeper into the potential causes of this crisis. What are some of the underlying factors that might have led to this level of political turmoil in South Korea?
Several factors could be at play. We need to consider the possibility of deep-seated political divisions, perhaps exacerbated by recent economic challenges or social unrest, a major policy shift, a significant security threat, or even a power struggle within the ruling party could all contribute to this level of instability.
I see. Could you elaborate on the potential role of economic factors? Are we seeing a correlation between economic hardship and political instability?
Absolutely. Economic hardship can be a potent catalyst for social unrest and political instability. If a significant portion of the population is facing economic difficulties, it can create fertile ground for discontent and protests, potentially leading to a situation like the one we're seeing in South Korea.
The reports mention chaotic protests. Can you shed light on the nature and scale of these demonstrations?
The scale and intensity of the protests are crucial factors in understanding the current crisis. Large-scale, sustained protests can exert significant pressure on the government, potentially forcing a response like the declaration of martial law, or conversely, leading to its rejection. The specific demands of the protesters will also be key to understanding the situation.
Right. What are some of the potential demands of these protesters? What are their grievances?
The protesters' demands could range from economic reforms to calls for greater political accountability or even a change in leadership. Understanding their specific grievances is essential to comprehending the depth and breadth of the crisis. We need to look at the underlying social and political tensions that fuel these protests.
The situation has significant international implications. How might this crisis affect South Korea's relationships with its neighbors and allies?
The declaration of martial law, even if ultimately unsuccessful, will undoubtedly have repercussions for South Korea's international standing. It could strain relationships with allies who value democratic principles and could also impact regional stability, particularly given South Korea's geopolitical position.
What about the potential impact on the Korean peninsula more broadly? Could this escalate tensions with North Korea?
The situation's proximity to North Korea adds another layer of complexity. Any instability in South Korea could be exploited by North Korea, potentially leading to increased tensions or even military provocations. The international community will be closely monitoring the situation for any signs of escalation.
Given the conflicting reports and the volatile nature of the situation, what's your prediction for the immediate future in South Korea?
Predicting the immediate future is challenging, given the conflicting information and the rapidly evolving circumstances. However, several scenarios are possible. A negotiated settlement between the government and protesters is one possibility, while a prolonged period of instability or even further escalation remains a concern.
Okay. What are some of the key factors that will determine the outcome of this crisis?
The response of the military, the level of public support for the protests, and the willingness of the government to negotiate will all play crucial roles in determining the outcome. International pressure could also influence the situation.
Newsweek highlights the Parliament's vote to block martial law. How significant is this action in the context of the overall crisis?
The Parliament's vote is a significant check on the executive branch's power. It demonstrates that there are still functioning democratic institutions capable of resisting a potential authoritarian move. This could be a crucial turning point in the crisis.
I see. Does this suggest a potential path towards a resolution that avoids further escalation?
It certainly suggests a potential path towards a less violent resolution. If the parliament can maintain its ability to function and act as a check on the executive, it could help de-escalate the situation and pave the way for dialogue and compromise.
The conflicting reports from Newsweek and the Japan Times highlight the importance of reliable information during a crisis. How crucial is accurate and unbiased reporting in this situation?
Accurate and unbiased reporting is absolutely crucial during a crisis like this. Misinformation and propaganda can exacerbate tensions and hinder efforts to find a peaceful resolution. The media's role in providing reliable information to the public and holding those in power accountable is paramount.
Right. How can we, as consumers of news, ensure we're getting accurate information amidst the chaos?
It's essential to rely on reputable news sources with a track record of accuracy and impartiality. Cross-referencing information from multiple sources and being critical of information that seems biased or sensationalized is also crucial.
Let's return to President Yoon's declaration of martial law. What are the potential legal and political ramifications of this action?
The legal and political ramifications are significant. If the declaration is deemed illegal or unconstitutional, it could lead to legal challenges and even impeachment proceedings. Politically, it could severely damage President Yoon's credibility and legitimacy.
What are the potential consequences if the declaration is not overturned?
If the declaration stands, it could lead to a significant curtailment of civil liberties, potentially resulting in human rights abuses. It could also trigger further protests and deepen the political crisis.
Looking beyond the immediate crisis, what are some of the potential long-term consequences of this situation for South Korea?
The long-term consequences could be profound. The crisis could damage South Korea's reputation for democracy and stability, potentially affecting its economic prospects and international relations. It could also lead to lasting political divisions and social unrest.
Could this event lead to significant political reforms in the future?
It's possible. The crisis could serve as a catalyst for political reforms aimed at addressing the underlying causes of the instability. However, the outcome will depend on the actions of the government and the response of the South Korean people.
What role might international actors play in resolving this crisis?
International actors, including neighboring countries and major powers, could play a significant role in de-escalating the situation. They could offer mediation services, provide humanitarian assistance, or exert diplomatic pressure on the parties involved.
Okay. What kind of diplomatic pressure might be effective?
Diplomatic pressure could involve sanctions, statements of concern, or offers of assistance contingent on a peaceful resolution. The effectiveness of such pressure will depend on the willingness of the South Korean government and other actors to cooperate.
What lessons can be learned from this crisis, both for South Korea and other countries?
This crisis highlights the importance of addressing underlying social and economic inequalities, promoting political dialogue and compromise, and ensuring the rule of law. It also underscores the need for strong and independent institutions capable of checking executive power.
Right. Are there any parallels to similar crises in other countries that we can draw upon for analysis?
There are parallels to be drawn with other instances of political instability around the world, particularly those involving economic hardship, social unrest, and challenges to democratic institutions. Studying these cases can offer valuable insights into potential solutions and preventative measures.
What is the most likely path forward for South Korea in the coming weeks and months?
The most likely path forward will depend on the actions of the key players involved. A negotiated settlement that addresses the underlying causes of the crisis is the most desirable outcome. However, the possibility of further escalation remains a concern.
What are the key factors that will determine whether the situation de-escalates or escalates further?
The willingness of the government and protesters to engage in dialogue, the role of the military, and the response of the international community will all be crucial factors in determining the path forward. The situation in South Korea remains fluid and unpredictable, but careful monitoring and analysis are crucial for understanding the implications of this crisis.
That was a great discussion. Thank you for your insights.